That's our school from the outside. That wall there, just behind Ailey, that big building there, that's the school dinner hall. It's Mrs. Snee's room there, and then that's the P7 corridor. That's the primary 4s, 5s and 6s corridor. Yeah, well, I want to. And then that's the gym hall, and then the first aid room, and yeah. And then the wee one's playground is just behind that wall over there. And cut! And then right here, it's the best bit!
We're here to do this particular project with Easton Primary because we felt creatively it was very important to acknowledge the move, to acknowledge the school and to involve the children as much as we could in that transitional period. And it started at the point where it was announced that the school was going to be shifted to the new location, which was the Old Grove Secondary School.
Well, we are coming to the end of an era with this building, and it's mainly because I think we've grown out of this building. And we need more space. It was felt that if we moved to the Old Grove side, which is in a much better condition, the classrooms are much bigger, and we also have access to a huge dining facility and a huge games hall. All in all, it was felt it was the better move.
Well, when I first found out the school was to be moving, I was really quite excited about it. When I first went to see the building, it was just wonderful. I mean, it was in a terrible state. I knew it needed lots of repairs, but the size of the rooms, the big open area where the primary 1s and 2s could come out and play, the sports facilities, the dining room, there were just so many things that were so good. It's just so nice to have this extra space. This is a lovely building, it's a beautiful building, but we're really tight for space.
Even after these initial visits, when we saw it in its worst possible conditions, we could see the potential in that building. We could see something pretty special growing and evolving.
After long chats and sort of inveigling Andy Flack, who's chair of the Parent Council, he put forward a proposal to the Parent Council and to the Dundee City Council to do a public art project in this particular way, i.e. bring in artists right from the word go and work with the children and get them to produce works of art that could then be translated more directly into a further piece of public art that was far more relevant to them. It was really about a very public rebranding of that building as Easton Primary School, and for us the most obvious site for that was Church Street and the long Victorian wall on Church Street. And we had heard that they were going to make an opening in that site for disabled access and for other types of access. And to us it seemed the most obvious place to create something, and that would be a gate, a very public statement about that. So we've had to go through a long process of applying to Historic Scotland to just have the basic permission to even make a hole in the wall and put a gate in it, which we've now got, which is great. But in the meantime, Louise and I had to devise a series of educational workshops and creative workshops for the kids to come in, work with the entire school. We've just finished working with every person in the school and including a CPD session for the teachers. And for them to actually do the project that the pupils were going to do. So we set that up with them to spend one of the in-service mornings with them a couple of weeks ago to let them have a chance to make their own large-scale work. So they worked in teams, and we gave them exactly the same materials and exactly the same brief that the children had as well, which allowed them to explore their ideas about the school and their thoughts about the school. And quite often in big projects like this, it's the kids that get focused on, and actually the teachers are the ones who know how the school functions. They know what they want from the new school, and they have a lot of time invested in that, many years for some of them. So I thought that was important. That means that the whole entire school is feeling part of that. So it was the entire teaching team and management team that were involved in that too, and the support teachers. So we worked that project with them for a couple of hours, and they produced their own work, which we felt then helped them engage with the pupils. So when it came to us coming in to do it, they knew exactly how to run that project, so they had that involvement with it as well, and then they have a continued sense of ownership about that.
I'm not extremely arty and found it quite a scary thought initially. However, the fact that it is just one big piece of artwork per class helps children who are perhaps a little bit like myself. They were able to contribute quite comfortably, and the end product has been fantastic.
Yeah, we're putting on a board and we're going to put it in the pie in the gym hall when we move to our new school, and then when our mums and dads come to see us, like something, they'll see what things we make. I'm making like faces for the picture that we're doing for the gate.
The outline for the children's project was to create something that could translate to every single primary level and nursery level, so it had to be something quite simple. It also had to be a method of working that would translate quite directly into what we intend to be a laser-cut aluminium or steel gate. So for us, the most simplest way of doing that was to use paper and scissors and glue, which is something that they can all do, they can all relate to, and they're doing it all the time anyway. So that was the first point of call for that. So in order to try and make sure that every class or every element of the school community was covered, we gave each class a different theme. So the nursery were looking at images that they see out of their school window. P5s had library, some classes had the gym hall, some had sports day, music events. They all had something that was really important to Eastern Primary's identifying Eastern Primary. And that was the easiest way to make sure each class had its own identity as well. So you have these 15 murals, if you like, or large-scale pieces of work that are all completely individual. And that's how we kick-started that process. But obviously it's one of these things that they go off on wild tangents and different, and that's what's lovely about it. But it allows them complete imagination and it's a simple process that they can all connect with.
The children have loved the opportunity to do something as a whole class for this move. It's been really, really good fun. There'll be a reminder to the children of the artwork they completed while they were here in this building, but they'll be taken with us to the new building.
Even though we're not going to be in the new building, it's like nice for us to be part of it.
The building that we're in currently was completed in 1913. It was commissioned to be built to house 2 or 3 of the schools already in Broughty Ferry. Eastern Primary School was already in St Vincent Street, but it was a very small school in a very small building. It's the old St Aidan's Hall. But in 1913, this building was designed and built to house roughly 800 children.
When I came here, this was my 3rd headship, and it was a totally new experience for me because I had never ever worked in an old building. I'd always worked in new buildings, and indeed, when we had moved here to Broughty Ferry, about 3 years before I was appointed here, we would walk in the neighbourhood, my husband and I used to point to the school and say, gosh, imagine working in that place. It looks like a prison. So when the headship was advertised, my husband urged me to come and have a look at it. And I came inside and I quite literally fell in love with this building.
When I first came into this building, I was struck from the outside as to how austere it looked, and I was quite frightened and quite worried about coming into the school. But once I was inside the school and wandered around the school, I was very much struck by a lovely calm feeling. There's good vibes in this building, and just the way that the pupils and the teachers interacted. The longer I've been in this school, the more it struck me that what makes this place very special is the relationships that we have with our parents, relationships we have with the staff, and the relationships we have with the pupils, all working together to make this a very good school for the children who do come here.
I always really liked the stairs. You know, the stairs are quite hollowed, and I could picture all these little feet, you know, trudging skipping, hopefully sometimes up the stairs in pursuit of learning. I thought, this is just wonderful, this living kind of a heritage within the building.
Because of the 98 years that this building's been used as a primary school, I felt it was very important that we mark the occasion in some way. And during the week beginning the 6th of June this year, we held various concerts to recognise Eastern through the decades, and each of the stages within the school had chosen a decade to study. They looked at music, they looked at dance, drama, they looked at popular singing, they looked at popular dance routines as well. They also looked through the history of the school. So the concerts were a huge hit. Parents and grandparents who came to see it thoroughly enjoyed the concerts, but more importantly, the children themselves loved getting dressed up, doing different dance routines, and also remembering some of the history of our school. During the same week, we also went for a whole school photograph on Wednesday, the 8th of June. Tempest came into the playground, they built scaffolding, and each class had to go out in order of height. We started with the oldest children, we finished with our youngest children, 3 and 4-year-olds in our nursery, and then the staff joined the group, and we ended up with the most wonderful whole school photograph. It's a real mark of history, and it's the last group fully of children who will be in this school. We finished off our celebrations with having an open day on Saturday the 11th of June, and over 400 people came to that. Many ex-parents, pupils, staff came along, looked through the archives, looked at what we had on show, and it was just a momentous occasion, one I don't think I'll ever forget.
Strange, everything looks a lot smaller.
Unbelievable. The first thing that when we walked in the door, we bumped into our old primary 5 teacher, Miss Mary, and couldn't believe that she actually recognised us straight away.
Yeah.
The longer you're in here, the more it's like more familiar kind of thing.
Of course, it's all changed. In my days, there was none of this stuff, of course, and the desks were all lined in front. The teacher taught from there, and I had a table and a chair for her. But we had 2 in the desk, like folding seats folded down.
I really remember it's not the centenary, but the 75-year anniversary of the school, which is quite good, and they had us all in Victorian clothes and everything. And it wasn't really too hard to recreate because, I think when we were in primary 1 to certainly about primary 5, all the desks were all still the timber ones with inkwells in them. We weren't using ink, obviously, but it was kind of proper old school. It wasn't too difficult to recreate.
Basically, classrooms are brighter than they were, an awful lot brighter, and the lighting, of course, has changed considerably, but they're still there, they're still relit, and the school wasn't like it is now. The school wasn't busy like it is. I mean, when you think about it, there weren't the same number of people about.
We used to play what they called hockey duck, where you leapt on the people's back and another one leapt onto your back. We played these sort of games.
Skipping was a great thing, and the girls just loved their skipping.
Skipping rope was always in the school bag, and tag, or tick, as we called it. I think it's called tag now. Sort of chasing each other around the playground. And, you really were sort of just almost running about.
Elastics. We put a lot of elastics. And French skipping a lot, and then a lot of doublers. With the white rope.
And I liked playing tag, but I don't like being it. I normally make when Ailey's looking after us, make Ailey be it.
We didn't do too much running around. Sometimes played football and stuff like that, but most of it was just spent maybe grabbing something from the tuck shop and then going along there and having to sit down and just being outside. Really, it was good fun to be outside. Yeah.
They would play at trains and holding on to one another and sort of sneak around the playground and all that. But no, they were always moving about.
I got to laugh in a way. We played at trains and things like that when you all joined up together and You hung on to each other and played trains with going round the playground, because the playground was really quite small in those days.
I like playing tag and I like playing this game called Garco. Yeah, but it's quite funny. Rosie's the mum and I'm the baby, and I jump up and down like this.
And then there was in the big playground, there was like games like Cheney, Kissy Catchy, Behind the Huts.
Aye.
Kiss, Cuddle and Torture.
I think we used to play Kiss, Cuddle or Torture.
That's where it all started.
I think so. And I think you can always spot an Eastern kid because we've all got scars on our knees from falling over on the concrete playground.
Some of the daft things we used to do, see how long you can lie on the road before a vehicle comes along. This is what we used to do as youngsters. I've got to laugh at that.
I was always football. You got allowed to play football. And I remember one of the guys spitting in the playground, and the teacher came out and walloped him, made him get his hankies, wiped the spittle up, and I went, there was cruel. So it was some of them.
You never saw children just sort of standing, being lost. They were always sort of enjoying themselves at playtime. And then silence when the lines were, and the bell rang and they were in the lines, and that was when it suddenly very quiet.
I remember going upstairs and standing in line in the quality class upstairs, and I was speaking. That was all. I was talking to my pal, and I got pulled out of the line, and they used to make you roll your sleeve up, so it got right up the sleeve, you know. And if you just had to be brave and say that wasn't hard, that wasn't the sword, but they gave you a sword.
Me, I got the belt several times.
The belt? I never got the belt. I never got the belt at all.
Oh.
But I did get put to the head teacher for cheating though, don't think you did that?
No.
What did they do? How did they discipline?
She was very disappointed in me. Then I'm extremely disappointed in me.
I think there was more respect paid for the teachers. Whether it was out of fear, perhaps an awful lot of it was out of fear, and that you did pay, as a result, you paid more attention.
There was a black book. If you were especially bad or something really bad, you had your name in the black book, and that was like the biggest threat you could possibly ever have. It's really scary.
There was a wee person in primary 7 who had talked, and the teacher said who had talked. She knew it was a boy. Nobody would admit it. About 15 minutes, but we're still trying to decipher who it was, and nobody would tell on them. So she says, everybody out to my desk.
If you misbehaved, you were put in a corner. Not with the dunce's cap on, but you're put in a corner to cool off.
All lined up, and she belted every single one of us. And at the end, as we all sat down, most of us were tearing our eyes. She said, I belted the person who talked out of place in my classroom. She was the teacher that everybody was frightened of. Thankfully, teachers aren't like that nowadays.
I'm very proud to say that I never owned a belt, never used a belt, never ever in my career. I had to be at great pains to explain that although the building was 80 plus years old, the style of education was not. We had to be absolutely up to date with what we were doing with in terms of education. So of course that was good news for the parents who had bad memories of having the belt and that kind of thing.
You always forget the bad things you got and remember all the good things you get. That goes through life all your days.
I would have said that I could only see positives about the move until the day that we had all the people come in, all the former pupils. And when I saw some of these people, it really then made me think about the history of this building. Working in here, day in, day out, it's not really something that I really think about. But on that particular day, I could see that we were leaving behind things that meant a lot to lots of people. Meant an awful lot to a lot of people.
I loved it here. I enjoyed all of my career, in fact, spanning 30 odd years. But I was very happy that I finished here in Eastern, that this was, you know, a real highlight, I would have said, of my career.
This building has a lot of very many happy memories, and we've also got some very treasured possessions here as well. And we're going to be packing these up now and taking them with us to the school, or taking as many of them with us as possible. But we will also very much look forward to building our own memories in the new school.
And it was very nostalgic, you know that. And I'm glad to see the buildings now coming down. I don't want to see it flatten. It's just but the ferry, isn't it?
Eastern Primary School isn't a building. Eastern Primary School are the kids that are here, the staff that work here, and that isn't going to change because we're moving, we're all going. Apart from our primary students who obviously have to move on to Grove Academy. But none of that changes, the people will remain the same.
But it's going to be a big change, obviously, and it's going to be like very different for some people, especially since it's a really big school. I'll find it hard to maybe find my way around.
I think it's going to be fun meeting new people and getting new teachers in different subjects, like doing all the stuff in chemistry and everything like that.
I'm excited about moving to Grove because there's new subjects and new people to meet and things, but it's quite a big step. It is a big step, if I'm honest, because from being in a school with about 14 classrooms and going up to one with about 50 classrooms, I think I'll need a map for that, but I think it should be fun.
It was things I would miss. I'll certainly not miss the 5 flights of stairs to my office. That I will definitely not miss.
At a new school, I love it. It is fantastic. love the changing rooms. I love the dining room. I love the gym hall. It's a bit noisy and there's an awful big echo, but I love it. I love having all the space.
We've been in situ now for a number of months, and at long last the gate is on site.
We came back after the February holiday to find the gate in place. We are delighted with it. The gate's really quite heavy, and so it remains open throughout the school day.
As you can see, the scale of the gate is awesome. The gate itself is just splendid. All the children's work and designs have been incorporated into the gate itself, and I'm absolutely delighted with the finished product.
The most important thing is that it reminds the children of all the wonderful memories they had of our previous school. And every time we look at the gate, it's a reminder of all the wonderful things that happened when we were at Whinny Brae.
It's been a fantastic project for Louise and I to be involved with. We've really enjoyed working with pupils at Eastern, and it's been a delight to work with Jim of Galloways for making it all possible and putting it all together for us and working with us. So to see it in situ and to see all these beautiful shadows and to see the reaction of the kids and to see that in different lights every time we come through, he's just brilliant. And we did worry at one point it might be too big, we worried it might be too red, it might be too this, it might be too that, but I think it's turned out to be absolutely perfect, and it's great for the kids to see what they've done, and they can all identify their classroom project, and everyone's had a hand in that, right from nursery through to P7. So everyone can see what their involvement has been, and it gives them real ownership of this as an object that they've helped us design, and that was really important to the whole ethos of the project as well, that they would feel part of it, and it's something that they can bring with them that they've done and made with us. So that was really the basis of it all. So to see it here now in this beautiful day and a formal opening is just absolutely fantastic, and Louise and I are delighted with how it's all gone. So we tried to find lots of ways that just slip Andy into the gate somehow, so we came up with his specs. We put his specs over there. So Andy Flack's in the gate as a wee acknowledgement, a wee thank you for all his hard work. You're not filming it, are you? Oh.